Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Shaps again.
I got a question for you, Shaps. Do you think we'll ever get popular like with like Dream did, where he's he didn't show his face and then that's
what for my sake?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I say we, I just meant you. What if you just get famous?
that's part of the idea, right? But
Yeah.
also it's like, okay, well, if you ever do anything, then I can distance myself pretty easily.
That wasn't me.
Or if we do get super popular, then I can kind of tease like a face reveal. I think it works both ways.
Yeah, I think that's the
I
thing.
think there's a common misconception. I am not shy about showing my face. I just don't want to.
I don't see why.
If you search the internet enough, you'll probably find who I am. But like, I don't know. I value my privacy. That's all.
You know what's surprising? A lot of people have asked me, "Hey, what does Shaps look like?" And they just want a picture because they just want to know. It's like
basic white guy, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, but people are like, I actually want to know what he looks like.
Isn't
that kind of cool?
That's cool, but no.
Yeah. Oh, so I shouldn't have sent him pictures?
Oh, wow. Well, only the good ones.
Yeah,
I don't think you have any pictures of me.
I do. We got the one where we're all lined up to go see the Flash. We all took a picture with the poster.
Well, I like that one because you're like, well, you have to guess who he is because there's like 8 dudes in there or something like that.
And nobody ever guesses the right person.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. Did you watch Sunny V2's video on Dream? Did you see, like, he's got... Like,
you know what? I think it may have been Sunny V2. I did watch someone's video on Dream, like a big, long one.
Yeah.
Can't remember if it was him or Patrick CC, but yeah, I did watch. I think it may have been Sunny V2.
I know we talked about this, but I love Patrick CC. It's just like there's so much.
Right.
It's like 2-hour long video about like just get to the guy who unalived that lady. Just get to the murder.
Right.
Yeah, I said unalive and murder in the same sentence.
Yeah, Dream is what a weird, fascinating story. It's just like this guy who has completely everyone's talked about it to death, but who completely let his fan base take over his life, like dictate every little thing about him.
Did you watch him aside from analyzing videos? Did
I ever watch Dream, like just to watch it? No, I was never really interested in his content. I mean, like I always heard he was kind of cool, but like I think it was a little past my time. I really wasn't into like Minecraft at that time.
Yeah.
So
when were you enjoying Minecraft, by the way?
It definitely when it like not like early beta, not during the alpha. I know a lot of people played it during the alpha. I played it during like mid beta maybe, and then like it was on and off ever since. So like I would get really into it, and then I wouldn't. Then I would get really into it, and then they would add so much stuff, and I'm just like And I don't know how I don't understand how Minecraft works anymore. Then I got a little deterred from it.
Yeah, do you think it's like super? I haven't logged in a while. Actually, I think we played together.
We did
in that one small group one time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
it's fun. I mean, like it's the same reason I don't like I try not to like mod too much stuff is because like I just like things to be simple as created.
I agree.
I
agree.
I mean, call me vanilla. That's just how I like it. But there's just so much added now that I'm like, I feel like I need to like only 10-year-olds know how to play this now. It's just
like, do you remember when they had the carrot on a stick, but they didn't add the riding pigs yet? But
right.
Yeah, like I remember that, and then I remember when they finally got that right. And I say got it right.
Well, now there's like freaking enchantment and stuff, and there's like new dungeons and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not into it, but
yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I took the time to learn,
it's super fun with friends. Like, legitimately, I don't think I like it by myself anymore, but if I'm with friends, then yeah, it's really, really fun.
Yeah. I bet me and my fiance would enjoy playing it if we like had something to do. Like we're playing a bunch of horror games and scary movies and stuff, so it's going pretty good.
Yeah.
But Minecraft was always the one where it's like you get a group of 3 or 4 people and you had a good time. But I was pretty simple. I found a mountain and I just put a log cabin on top, and I was like, I did it.
No, I mean, like, what great things about it is just like you can literally do whatever you want and then just be happy with it. I remember I saw an article way before AI was like really getting big, where like they just had an AI play Minecraft, and its only objective was to survive, basically. So all it did was stock up on a whole bunch of food, digged itself a hole, and stayed there. And the whole idea was that the AI couldn't be creative. I was like, that's kind of cool, actually.
I was going to say, if I was the AI, I would have just switched it to peaceful mode. Yeah, like a stupid AI. And then it could have been creative and done its thing.
What kind of horror games are you playing right now?
let's see. We're walking. I was gonna say walking through. We're playing The Walking Dead, the old Telltale game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not scary.
No.
Well, I mean, in theory, okay. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, zombies were scary. Okay, they used to be like actual horror.
Yeah.
Now it's played for laughs.
Yeah,
You know, like you play Walking Dead. I mean, it's still technically a horror game, but it's not scary. That's because like it's oversaturated. Now everyone's like, oh, I wish there was a zombie apocalypse. Oh, I want to blah blah blah. Do you remember when that was a thing? You remember when it was a thing to get with your friends to talk about? Okay, here's where we're all going during a zombie apocalypse.
I mean, I'd like to say it's still a thing, but I haven't talked about it in a while. Yeah, I think there was a trend definitely when all the zombie stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Like, I had a whole plan. I know my friends had plans and everything. Do you know who? I'm sorry. How am I blanking on his name?
Sir, I think you need to fix it.
Oh, do you know who Long Beach Griffey is? You ever watch his stuff?
Mm-mm.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, you would love him, dude. But he just made a video about that. He makes like little, like 2-minute skits, basically. But it was like when you're with that one friend who really, really wants a zombie apocalypse to happen.
Yeah, it's true. So, do you remember also being younger?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the biggest craze was 2012. That was the peak of Walking Dead. I think Walking Dead was the beginning of the end when it came to zombies. Like, and
probably it was like the catalyst.
It was.
That was Game of Thrones for a while. You know, like when it came to just like TV.
And it's crazy because it's really just the first 4 seasons that kind of did that for people. Because once we all graduated and moved to bigger and better things, I quit watching.
I loved season 1.
Yeah, season 1 was the best one. I think personally. I heard that new show with Michonne and Rick is really good because it's not even based on the comics, which I think they should have just done that.
Right.
But anyway, so I remember sitting with all my friends and being like, okay, we just saw the episode where so and so went and killed his daughter,
right.
and you have to if she's bitten, you have to do what you got to do. And I just remember being a kid and be like, man, he should have just shot her, And it's like, obviously in real life, you probably you'd probably be way more choked up, like I can't do it, but we're all watching the show and being like, that idiot, he should have shot his kid. You remember that? Oh, he got bit
on the farm.
In general, like because my problem with The Walking Dead was there's too many filler episodes, and so like no matter how many years into the apocalypse they went, they still came across the same issues, and it's the same 4 issues where they had a murder in the group, and they're like, do we kill him, or are we no better than the zombies? That was at least once per season. And then there's another one where the guy's carrying his daughter or son or whatever, and they're bitten, and he's like, I can't do it, and Rick's like, no, you have to. We've seen this before 11 times as a matter of fact. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing over and over and over, and that's what I think led to the show's decline was they ran out of ideas. They had already diverged from the Walking Dead comics so much to where they couldn't even follow that.
Right.
So, but I just remember being younger and just being like, that idiot, he should have chopped his son's leg off, before the bite spreaded.
Yeah, I remember those hot button topics and issues around the water cooler, quote unquote. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of fun. Like, I don't think there's what is there like to talk about right now? Because like Game of Thrones ended, Walking Dead basically is literally Walking Dead. I don't know what this like the next like big thing people like talking about right now, and just like that's pioneering the next like cycle for mediums.
The zombie craze is long since passed, but I can't believe that the shows are still going. Like it's still Andrew Lincoln playing Rick. It's still what's the guy that plays Daryl? Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
he's still playing.
He's still in there.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he's not dead. Like he's
getting his own show. No, if they killed. Here's the thing: we all knew this in high school too. If they killed him off, there was going to be no show. Like Rick's great, and he's great in the comics, and Daryl's not even actually in the comics.
Really?
They made him up for the show, which is cool because he's such a pivotal part of the show. You'd think like, oh man, they have to have adapted him, but no, they made him up.
Wow.
So I thought the whole show's made up, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and where was I going with this? I can't believe they're still like making episodes. That in and of itself is cool. Like they clearly jumped the shark a long time ago. A lot of people would say it was like whenever Negan killed Glenn, but I'd have to go back even further. I'd say it was season 2. Season 2, the beginning
and the end at least.
Yeah. because I mean, event like I said, it just kind of turned into crappy drama and filler episodes, and they would just kind of recycle the same plot over and over.
It was like I remember when I first time I watched season 1, and like this was after people have already watched like season 3.
Yeah.
I did not realize how much of a giant sci-fi element was in it. Almost like Lost levels of sci-fi.
Yeah.
But it's only there for like half an episode when they find the secret like government base.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I was like, oh wow, this is like an interesting element that no one really talks. Why does no one ever talk about this?
Yeah.
It's because they never bring it up again.
Right. And that's not in the comics either.
Really?
The whole thing. Yeah. So the way that they find out everyone's already infected in the comics is way more like they had to like do trial and error. There's a scene where Rick goes back to where he shot Shane. They buried him, and then they left the camp. Well, he goes back, and he's like, I have to make sure. And then he digs up enough to where Shane comes out. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Shane. Yeah. He comes out, and he's like, okay. Then that's how he knew. That's how Rick knew. Okay. And he ends up telling everybody else later, which they learn the hard way too. So, really, really interesting. There's points in the comics where they go back where they used to camp, and they kind of reminisce a bit, and it's pretty good. I mean, the comics are really good, and I'm willing to bet Invincible's kind of the same way, which the show is really good too. But I'm wondering how good the comics are.
I hear they're pretty faithful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I hear.
I hear it's way more toned down. Like Mark's supposed to have his own child through non-consent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they kind of tone all that stuff down and like, yeah, cut that out.
Wow.
So anyway, sorry, I probably spoiled it for everybody.
Actually reminds me, one of my favorite animes. You probably never heard of it. It's called The Outlaw Star.
I've heard of it.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I haven't watched it though.
It's my favorite. Sorry. It's because it was like the first anime I ever watched, and it was one I was not supposed to watch when I was a kid. And I watched it anyway.
So
right?
Cool.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever binged a show from like 8 o'clock at night all the way till like 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. You know, I've never actually finished it, because I like it so much. I never wanted it to end. That's the nerd I am. But the original adaptation, like the comic, it was actually originally like an adult erotic like manga basically.
Yeah.
And when it got converted into a show, it just like that they took all of it out and they kept all the cool story parts. And people say the show is way better. I'm like, that's one of the rare instances where like the show actually is like what everyone remembers and not the freaking manga.
Well, isn't that what happened to something Brotherhood? Full Metal Alchemist?
Full Metal?
Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, Full Metal originally when it came out, was nothing like the comics or the manga. Essentially, and people were really upset about that. I actually like the original and Brotherhood, but then that's when they remade the entire series into Brotherhood, which is the same story. It just follows the comics a lot, like basically parallel.
Yeah,
and I think it's shorter actually because they added a whole bunch of stuff in the original take. I don't know what those changes are, but
yeah, right. I'd have to go back and do it.
Everyone loves Brotherhood. I mean, I like them both, but I just love Full Metal. It's just really good story.
I'll tell you, I really like it if we get that celebrity guest we're hoping for.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know about that, but we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, so I had a topic for today: Rocksteady and Suicide Squad kills the Justice League. Yeah. That's a big topic for today. Have you read up anything on it recently?
I mean, I know what. It really depends on what you're talking about.
Okay, sure. Well, here's one thing. This isn't the main topic for today, but a minor thing about it is the new patch released, and it was so bare bones, everyone was upset about it. I don't know if you saw that.
With Suicide Squad?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they did a new patch for it, and it had nothing. Like, there's no character, there's no new story. Like, it's just like minor bug fixes, and everyone's like, what is, they want something new, they want something more substantial, and they got nothing. So here's a big one, and this kind of brought me back. I had to go back a bit and do a little bit of research on Anthem, but one of the big bombshells, and it was Jason Schreier, I believe. Again, he was also the main subject of another thing I looked up.
Yeah, but
he dropped the bombshell that it wasn't Warner Brothers' idea to make it a live service. It was Rocksteady. Rocksteady said, "We want to do a live service." The game developers themselves.
So, dang, because everyone defended them, basically saying it had to have been Warner Brothers.
Because
we even said that.
Before that, they could have done no wrong, and they were like, well, Warner Brothers stepped in and pushed them outside their limit. Like they're known for single player games, and they're trying to do.
But Rocksteady was
It was Rocksteady's idea.
Which is weird because it doesn't even feel like it or look like it was supposed to be that. That's
at all
crazy.
Yeah, from the beginning, nobody held a gun to their head.
Well, I guess apologies to Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
I mean, you still did a lot of other crappy things.
I still blame you for Multiverses and Mortal Kombat's loot system, but and possibly for Hogwarts Legacy Hogwarts Legacy 2 turning into a live service.
Is that?
But even then,
oh yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But even then, it's like it was such a hard reality because I was like, somebody over there, the talent, they were like, we can do this, and it was their idea to make it grindy.
Did people leave between Arkham Knight?
They had to have.
Like, there had writers or anything because they must have been like, okay, because Arkham Knight ends at such a definitive moment. They're like, you got to know, like, writers are like, okay, we're done. Like, there's nothing else to add to this. And then, like, the B team took over. Like, I cannot believe that the same people who made that game, that whole trilogy, really, also thought this was going to be a great idea.
Yeah,
like
to dig up Batman, literally dig him up, and continue the story that had such a solid conclusion.
Right,
the end, And now, because I watched that scene where Batman explains what happened next. He's like, "Yeah, I just made some friends. Turns out it was all good." I was like,
"Nightmare Bat." Yeah, it's kind of like a We're not going to explore that at all.
No. And like in the original ending, you didn't need to explore it. It was done. It was like that's great. Like I loved it.
Like everyone was. It's kind of like the ending of Dark Knight Rises, where like he's like probably not dead, but at the same time he kind of is dead. Yep. Like he's like, we're not going to continue this anymore. He's more just like a legend now. Like no one actually knows if he's real or not.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years later, he's like,
and I can't blame Warner Brothers. Like I can. It was like they I guess they believed it, but like can I really? Like if your lead team of like a very successful franchise says, "Hey, we can actually make a lot more money than that long term. Here's our idea." And on paper, that's a great idea. Like this evil Avengers type team, and they're taking down the world's greatest heroes. Like that sounds great. And look, guys, we can stretch this out over long term.
Right.
Like what we'll do multiverse. We'll have multiple and on paper, Warner Brothers is probably like, yeah. This is like you guys are all getting promoted. Like good job.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who did this? Well, we know who now, but it's like who is like, okay, that's too fun. Make it worse.
And you said you brought up Anthem. Is that because BioWare also decided that they wanted to make a live service?
So, BioWare, yes, essentially.
Yeah. Funny enough, that's actually when Anthem was being made. A bunch of people who made like the original Mass Effect games left already.
Yeah.
So like that's why I think something similar must have happened.
Right.
That's what happened with Mass Effect Andromeda and then Anthem. Like it just had guys left and then they didn't know what to do with the IP.
The bones were there for Andromeda to be good. It had a good skeleton. And what happened with that was kind of the same thing that happened to Anthem, where everyone was forced to use Frostbite engine.
Yeah.
They had the C team working on Andromeda.
Yeah.
They put the C team writers, C team developers, all that kind of stuff, and the C team did their best, and you could tell. Like, and for a C team, a BioWare game, not the worst thing ever. I liked it better than Anthem.
I mean, like. Yeah, it's playable at least.
Yeah,
but like
sort of
with the Andromeda. I think I gave it a try, and like I got past the tutorial where your daddy makes you like commander of the entire human race, and like after one mission, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But
that was a really good tutorial. Here, handsome the straw hat.
I didn't.
Says you're gonna be king of the pirates.
But like. And I really didn't give it like a super fair chance. I was just super disappointed that they took out like the morality system, which I think what made Mass Effect so like interesting story wise.
In theory, they were thinking it would give you more variety instead of good guy, bad
like
guy.
Fallout did, but like in New Vegas. You ever played New Vegas?
I need to.
Okay, so in New Vegas, there's no like clear cut morality system unlike Fallout 3. Because Obsidian actually did Fallout New Vegas.
I love Obsidian.
Yeah,
they're so good.
I wish they made more games. But so in New Vegas, it's not like you're an evil person because you did a bunch of evil things. if you do evil things in but one particular town, you're evil in that town.
Mm.
But in this town, you could actually be really good.
Yeah.
So that's like a really good way of
I'd be
doing
so
variety.
bad. I'd be such a bad person. I'd be like, I'm nice to these people, and then like anytime I go to this village, I'm gonna f them up.
Because like I remember in Mass Effect, it was very hard. Because like is it Adrian Shepard?
No, it's
Commander Shepard.
Commander Shepard.
But he doesn't have a first name.
No.
I was thinking of the Half-Life guy.
You
Sorry.
can pick the first name.
Yeah, Commander Shepard. He is a distinct. I love how like when people like give so much personality to player made characters,
Yeah.
you know, even though like Commander Shepard, he does have like a defining like personality.
I'm sorry. When you said that, it reminds me. I wrote an essay on Shepard and why he's my favorite character ever, and I submitted it to a college professor. And on the notes, you write, "This is not a real person." I'm sorry. Continue.
Wow,
I was such a stupid 16-year-old kid.
Point proven there.
Yeah,
but
no, you did, hands down.
So, but like essentially, like the character has to do, even though you have player choice, the character has to do certain things a certain way. And if he's a paragon, he should. Like it would be very out of character for him to randomly just shoot someone for no reason. So that's why they had like these locked choices essentially. Yeah. But to me, I'm like, it's almost like you don't even need the morality system because most people are either going to be completely paragon or completely renegade.
Yeah.
Like why would they go in between the two?
Sure.
That's with most morality choice games, you know.
Sure.
That's why I really love what they did in New Vegas, which is where basically it was like, well, it depends on where you are. It really depends on like the scenario and like the setting and also like the consequences, I think.
Yeah.
So I get what they were going with, where it's like, okay, it opens up more variety. The problem is when your character responds to something, it's not good or bad. It's I'm going to respond nobly or kind of sassy or a little bit more sassy.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right.
And there's that in a weird way, it takes away the variety, you know, because everyone's playing the exact same, not Commander Shepard, you know?
Yeah.
So
exactly. the D team.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and that didn't kill it for me. It was really just the gameplay after the tutorial where it was just like boring. I don't know. I found it very boring.
And I agree with you. Like I full disclaimer, am a Mass Effect fan boy.
Yes.
Like, I mean, to a fault. Absolutely. Like Andromeda was bad.
Yeah.
And it was, or at the best mediocre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
coming
I
off
still,
the heels of like the Mass Effect series,
exactly.
yeah.
And I still played it from beginning to end. I finished it. I was kind of hoping there'd be DLC, even though I knew it was going to be canceled.
Yeah.
Which ended up happening. They tried. I think they released like one graphic novel to kind of fill in the teaser, because they still missed a few stuff. But yeah, and I'm still hopeful for the new. No, I'm actually not hopeful that it'll come out. But if it does come out, I'm still gonna buy it.
Yeah, I forgot
gonna
they
buy the
actually
DLC.
teased it.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about it.
It's not gonna come out.
You don't think so?
I'm willing to bet it's in development hell right now because they still have not released Dragon Age 4.
So is the freaking Witcher game. I mean, like, I don't
Really?
know.
You mean the show?
No, the new Witcher game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's in development hell as well.
I didn't know they were doing one.
Yeah, they are.
No.
They wanted to finish up with Cyberpunk, and they're actually wanting to make Cyberpunk 2, which I'm really excited for.
What?
Yeah.
You're excited to fall for the same scam again?
No, Caleb, you need to play. I don't know if you've ever played it since they fixed everything, but like Cyberpunk's actually a really, really fun game now. And I actually was like, at the end, I was like really craving like a sequel.
In 5 years, I'm going to be saying the same thing about Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. I'm going to say,
no.
Look, Shaps, that was a long time ago. It's really good now. Once you get to the 8th Brainiac.
Have you not kept up with it? Have you never kept up with it?
I have. And people say that, but if everyone says that about games that came out and scammed everybody.
No, dude.
No Man's Sky.
This is one of the, which, give it credit, did make a comeback. And everyone loves it now. I don't have a problem.
The same way that someone comes back to their abusive ex-boyfriend.
Okay, I do not have a problem if creators actually like don't give up on their product and they make it good. Like, yeah, it sucks at the beginning, and I totally understand people don't want to return to it. But like, I give them credit for at least making something out of like making a mountain out of a molehill, and like actually making it traversable. I love the Cyberpunk game.
Don't expect me to come back.
That's fair, but. I'm just saying.
I learned a long time ago that when someone breaks your heart, and if they come back and say, "Hey, I've changed," they're full of crap.
You don't believe in second chances?
Not with me, because I've fallen for the second, third, fourth, and fifth chance before.
Is that so?
It's a lie.
Is that so?
They don't actually love you, and Cyberpunk does not love me.
Okay, what celebrity guest star do they have to get to really in? Because I know that's your weakness. Ryan Reynolds?
Wait, like in the game?
Yeah. Chris Pratt?
No, see, Keanu Reeves would have been it. So Keanu Reeves broke my heart. And so therefore, you know what I mean? Now, a franchise I wouldn't give up on, now that we're talking about like, Keanu Reeves, like John Wick, I could take a bad John Wick movie if the next one was good. Be like, hey, there's some missteps. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm here. Now, I will say, Mass Effect, though, I will keep coming back. Sorry, to that franchise. I will. I'm going to give it a chance until, like, we had a good thing when I was younger.
Did you, we don't have to go into spoilers, but did you actually like the ending of 3 before they patched it?
God, no.
Oh, really?
I mean, when it first happened, I was like...
I guess we could talk about it. It's such an old
game.
it
was like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I didn't notice what the stink was, but once I started watching, like, people analyze it, I was like, okay, yeah. Everyone gets a nice flavored cupcake, but they all taste the same.
Right.
Sorry, a nice colored cupcake, but they all taste the same.
Yeah.
Flavor-wise, they're all the same.
Right.
So, no. And now, going back with the patch that they did that expanded on the original endings, it's better. It's definitely better. If you go back and watch it with the already ending, the expanded story ending downloaded already, like it is way better. Like they did fix it. And if those were the endings we originally got, people wouldn't be upset as much. Like, do I wish it was animated and not just like pictures? Yes, but it was nowhere near. I know why expectations were high, and I know why people really felt owed something when they were promised something and delivered something else. Like, I do agree.
I just don't think we're ever gonna get something like that again. It's almost like the Avengers, like to have 3 games spread out that long, to have one character you made to basically experience all 3 of those adventures from beginning to end, to have all these characters that may or may not be there with you at the end that you've had since the beginning, like that, you're just never gonna get that again. It just can't happen. Like,
and a lot of people try to be in retrospective and like, oh, these games weren't that great, but when they re-released the remastered edition, you really start noticing, like, once you set aside what your personal expectations were when the game came out, again, a long time ago, so you forgot about that. You just play the game for what it is. It's really good still. It's still really good.
I love it. I mean, like, 1 can drag a little bit, but I think everyone just remembers 2, which is like the definitive, like, best one.
And admittedly, 3 is not as good as 2. It was gameplay wise as far as the shooting mechanic and all that kind of stuff, but the story in 2 is definitely the best one.
I remember for the longest time that was the only one I played.
Yeah. Do you remember? Do you remember Galactic Readiness? Do you remember playing that?
Galactic Readiness
in Mass Effect, where like you had to play the multiplayer to get the Galactic Readiness meter up.
No.
For the galaxy.
No.
And each match
that was a thing.
And each match only went up like 2%. So you started at base 50%. And you had to play multiplayer in different regions of the galaxy. So you had to travel to different regions, play a multiplayer mission, and it only went up 3%.
I hate it when...
Yeah. And then everyone, a lot of people did it expecting it to affect the ending, right? And are like, oh, Galactic Readiness, we need it at 100% because it'll get us the best ending. And now, so all that wasted hours on multiplayer. There's a reason they cut out multiplayer in the remastered edition. They just didn't even bother because it was very tacked on. But what I did when I was in high school was I downloaded the app, and there was an app that you could link to your, I think it was still Origin at the time. You link to your Origin account, and you just log in every day. You allocate a few resources, and it added Galactic Readiness every day. So I did it every day for like 3 months, and then I was at 100% when I just logged into the game.
Sounds really hype. It's unfortunate that the developers didn't think so.
Yeah, right.
Sounds like the marketing team was just like, hey, we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff and not tell anyone. Like, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, no.
So have you ever, I mean, when we were talking about Kojima in the last episode, have you ever played Metal Gear 5, Phantom Pain?
Phantom Pain, no. I played the real game when it came out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Phantom Pain was the real one.
I'm pretty sure Phantom Pain was the 1-hour demo that they sold for $40.
I'm pretty sure. Okay.
Maybe you're right. Let me look, because you might actually be right. What was the 1-hour one though that they?
I know what you're talking. That's Ground Zero.
Oh, you're
Phantom Pain is the big open
I played Phantom Pain. I didn't finish it, but I was just playing it to screw around.
So I actually really like Phantom Pain. Most people did, but the ending is notorious because Kojima got fired before they could actually finish.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was the whole big controversy with Kojima. That's why he's not with Konami anymore. Konami, yeah.
Yep.
And but something crazy he put in the game. there's actually an ending in the game that no one's ever seen. And again, I was telling you how like crazy of a developer he is. Essentially, like you get to the point in the game where you can start developing nukes, or you can start disabling nukes, like going around the world disabling nukes. And basically, it's just like a little menu that pops up, and you send people to go do something. The only way to obtain one of the endings is that if everyone in the world, this world, disabled their nukes.
Oh,
I'm like. And
so everyone in the real world has to choose
yes,
disable.
Yeah, exactly. And Kojima knew that was never going to happen. I'm like, because he's that crazy. So I'm like, it just reminds me of when you were talking about like everyone kind of like playing multiplayer and trying to get the best ending. You know, I'm just like, it just can't happen. Man.
Oh, it could if you download the Mass Effect app. Yeah, you didn't have to do the whole world. It's not like Helldivers where you have the world collectively has to finish a galactic mission.
What a comeback, Helldivers.
I know, right? I mean, we could talk about that too.
Everyone probably knows about it by now. It's just, Sony stepped off for a while.
But did they? Because I think, didn't they still take it in effect?
No.
The PlayStation thing? Other countries?
They're doing it for, well, what they have to, I think they have to go back on it because basically the company or the other countries that didn't allow it or don't have PlayStation Network just disabled it, and they basically have to. I think it's on the whatever country they're in. I don't know if it's on Sony to fix it, but I really don't know what the situation is. So like they did damage, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But now every other Sony game that comes out, if you want to play multiplayer, you have to sign into the network.
I still get messages every day, people saying, "Hey, hop on Helldivers." Like, no, thank you, I'm busy. I'm podcasting and or editing episodes of my podcast.
Right.
So
yeah.
Let me see. What was the other thing I want to talk about? So I wanted to talk about The Rock. Have you seen all his stuff going on?
The Rock. Yeah, I caught a glimpse of it.
That dude is such an idiot.
Expand on it.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, well, the biggest thing is he's kind of a liar.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything? Have you seen those where he lied about Whataburger? I'm sorry, In-N-Out. He lied about In-N-Out 3 times. That's one of them. He's also very just fake.
Yeah.
You know, and more so than just your average Hollywood. Like, don't look so agreeable here now. Yes, there are fake celebrities out there, but he's like the worst.
Right.
You know, like everything he does is he's advertising, and So I watched another Sony V2 video. So let me just be real there. Okay, it wasn't on me, but he says he eats like 8,000 calories a day. And so then the experts come in and they're like, okay, if you actually did that, you would weigh an extra 100 pounds of fat.
Right.
You know, and then a lot of people are also saying like he has to be on steroids, has to be, because there's no way, because from the picture he took when he's 35 to now 51, now he's huge. Like there's just no way.
Most celebrities are.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they're illegal, right? Is that the problem? Is that why nobody wants to admit to it?
Some steroids are.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, like there are certain steroids that like are legal, but yeah, a lot of people don't want to admit to it.
Why?
I don't know.
Because like if you're gonna do the gastric sleeve to lose weight,
because you're a little bit less credible if you do, quote unquote. Like even though everyone does do it, like bodybuilders and celebrities, I mean, sometimes they just have to, like in order to keep up, right? It's basically they're role models, right? Especially like people like The Rock. You lose some credibility if it's performance enhancing, essentially. Like
I know what you mean.
Means you're less your physical physique is less achievable.
Yeah, you didn't earn it, right?
Exactly.
Is that the problem here?
Right.
Well, here's my counterpoint. If I'm The Rock and I use steroids to become The Rock, I'm still The Rock. You know,
I'd be advertising the steroids.
That's what I'm saying. And like he advertises everything else in there. Like he's always pushing his tequila. Like if you watch his Instagram, he's like, yeah, I tried In-N-Out for the first time, and what's right behind his In-N-Out that he tried for the third time the first time is tequila, like that he's pushing.
Right.
So
I don't think anyone wants to hire him to sell their products. Because like when was the last time you saw him in a commercial or anything?
A commercial, no, but his Instagram's really popping with the ads.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they're all like secret ads. Or quote unquote secret ads.
And that's probably where you sneak the most stuff. Because like you know, like there's that video where he pulls up to a bunch of fans and they're all cheering up, hey, drink the tequila, you know, and he's just like, hey, and he's squeezing an ad in every 3 seconds.
Those fans are definitely actors.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. You know, and I think he's a fun guy, but like I look at, you take the lies and you take how he got Black Adam made. Did you go into that at all? Did you watch it with us? I can't remember.
Black Adam? No, I
I
didn't
don't
watch it.
think you did.
Never
Okay,
watched
yeah.
it. We talked about it.
I remember we talked about it. So he originally was told he was told no, Black Adam can't have his own movie. And then he went above the guy that said no.
Yeah.
And he went above them to the really head honchos. It was probably Walter Hamada. And he's like, no, we should make this movie. It's got me in it. Don't worry, it's gonna make $1 billion. It's gonna make a Black Adam $1 billion, and it's gonna do all this and that. And he overpromised and he oversold. And then the movie came out and made like $300 million, like something weak. And he brought back Henry Cavill, who was already accustomed to not being Superman. So he got him all excited and he put him in the movie. And then he just like it was such an ego based
project.
Because when he was promoting it, he kept saying this really dumb line that he thought was so smart. He had to have written it himself. He was like, the power hierarchy is about to change in the DC universe. Every ad had that in there where he's like, the power hierarchy is about, and then Honest Trailers parodied it. They were like, the Rock power dynamic of DC is about to change forever. Rock Johnson, So he has such a big ego, and he really just like screws people over. He got Henry Cavill kind of screwed over. He screwed over the studio. He steps on people to kind of get what he wants and to promote himself, but he's not as cool as he thinks he is. Like he really thought Black Adam was going to be carried by him, his face, like his likeness.
I think John Cena took a lot of flame away from him
with Peacemaker.
And just like, well, I'm talking about in general. Like a lot of people, I think, enjoy seeing John Cena and things more than The Rock. Now, The Rock is just so old now. Like, I mean, I remember when I was a kid, he was showing up in movies, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, The Rock!" Like I don't know who that is, but he's cool. Yeah. And now it's like he's still trying to do the whole same old shit.
Do you think we'll get sick of John Cena too?
Oh yeah. I mean, like people almost already got sick of him when he, went all political. You know what I mean?
Oh, did you go political?
No.
Stop it.
Do you remember when he apologized to China?
No.
Basically, you don't?
No.
It's a funny video. I forgot what he said. He said something, and it pissed off like the Chinese government, and he literally filmed himself speaking in Cantonese or Mandarin.
That was cringe. That had to be cringe.
And basically was like apologizing to the Chinese government, and everyone made fun of him for it. It was like the cringiest thing. So like that was the only thing he's done where like people are like, yeah, he's cringe.
Yeah.
And he's probably fake. But ever since then, like I think he's smashing it. Like most people love John Cena.
Oh yeah.
He's just as old as The Rock, maybe a little younger, but
like, I'd say, and he feels more genuine.
Yeah.
He feels more humble. Like he's not taking Peacemaker and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go head to head with Henry Cavill, Superman.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he respects where he is. Like he's a B character in a B series, and
I would let my kid hug him before The Rock.
The Rock could be like,
he's gonna hold up the tequila next to the kid.
Yeah, no, no. See, here's what The Rock would do. He had it behind his back. He would not be genuine about it at all. He'd be like, "I'll hug your kid."
Right. $500.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, actually, I love John Cena, but I really love him for Peacemaker, and that's kind of like really it.
When is season 2 ever coming out?
Yeah, they just tweeted a picture. James Gunn tweeted a picture where he took a picture of the reflection of the Peacemaker helmet. He's staying behind John Cena while he's in that little cast chair.
That was such a sleeper show. Like, I mean, it was really good. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, but yeah,
I was because it was James Gunn.
Sure. I didn't know it was James Gunn until I started watching. I was like, he did a whole show?
Pretty sure I told you that. And you were like, oh, well, now I can watch it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, everything about it was great. It's just like not enough people like knew about it, which is unfortunate.
Definitely not. But enough to get another season. Because it was supposed to just be a 1-season limited series.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, no, we want a season 2. So like, okay, cool.
Fair enough, yeah.
And I can't
wait.
I know. And I love him in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen his stuff in it, but it's so good.
And like he's probably gonna have a bigger budget too. So,
which it it felt like it had a big budget.
Well, yeah, for a show, definitely. That was probably James Gunn who got that one. But I'm like, now that it's actually proven that it has an audience now. Now here's the thing. What I liked about Peacemaker is that it felt like a smaller story.
Yeah,
which is good. Like I actually liked it fit definitely, and they did a lot with what they had. So yeah, can't wait to see that.
I was gonna say, so I'm picturing James Gunn. He directed one movie for DC. and then and then they talked him into directing Peacemaker. Maybe he wanted to do it.
Yeah,
and
I think he wanted to.
probably. And then so he did it, and then now he's in charge of DC, which is hilarious.
It's one of those things where it's like, are you the chosen one?
Yeah. Well, he's in charge, so he's picking his people to make another cinematic universe.
He is Jon Favreau /
Kevin
Dave
Feige.
Filoni of Star Wars right now.
Right.
Basically.
But for DC.
Yeah.
But I'm picturing, because he's also directing the first Superman coming out, right? Yeah. So I'm picturing Mass Effect 2, where Harbinger takes over one of the collectors, like assuming direct control. It's like the same thing. He's like, okay, I want to direct that movie. And then just like, boom, now he's the director.
It's like, of course.
Yeah.
No, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
We're not going to say no.
Do you remember when Kevin Feige was like untouchable? It's like he can do no wrong. Any ship under his umbrella is just really good. You know what I mean? And now it's like, because for a while he's supposed to make a Star Wars movie. They were pulling him from Marvel. They were uprooting him to move him to Star Wars for a bit. Like Doctor Strange opened a time portal and said, we need you in this other multiverse.
There's only one where we win.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then, but now it's like, now he's like another, he may as well work for Sony.
Yeah.
You know?
J.J. Abrams kind of got the same treatment too.
I think J.J. Abrams is a hack.
Oof, really?
And I think he always was. But Star Wars really highlighted it. Because he made the Star Trek reboots. He didn't do the third one, Beyond, which I heard was really good.
Yeah.
But it didn't make enough money. So they like are done with that franchise now. But I think so nobody noticed with Star Trek because not enough people watch Star Trek.
Right.
Not enough Trekkies watched the original show and Next Generation and then went to watch the movies to be like, oh, Into Darkness is really just Wrath of Khan. He just flipped who was who. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought it was supposed to be a remake of that.
But that's the thing. That's all he's good at is remaking what's already been done.
Yeah.
He's a hack. He takes and not enough people were Trekkies to notice with the Trek films. With Star Wars, that's what really highlighted his limitations. Because if you're not a Trekkie, if you're not a nerd, then you're not familiar with Star Wars.
Right.
But every nerd likes Star Wars to some capacity, or at least knows it exists.
I remember that because like when he followed the beats of the first of New Hope, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just a new interpretation of A New Hope."
Right.
In reality, he probably just didn't have
no creativity,
any idea.
no creativity. And then people said like, okay, we'll give him that because it was like the first movie after one, a long hiatus of Star Wars films, and two, it was also like the prequels had just fallen. So like we got to do the opposite of the prequels, and we also have to win everybody back.
Right.
So the safest option was J.J. Abrams and do the A New Hope again, right? Well, by the time Rise of Skywalker came out, it was very true that he did not have a creative bone in his body.
He spent the most. I mean, everyone knows he spent the majority of the movie just undoing the last director.
And he did the Death Star again. He dug up Emperor Palpatine. Like he did everything that we had the throne room scene.
Did you ever look up like the original concept of like what that movie was supposed to be with the ending on Coruscant and everything? It's like, nah.
That was too creative. We had to cut it.
Too much. Too much.
That was too good. We had to cut it. And yeah, I mean, he hasn't done anything real since. And that was like 5 years ago, almost. Yeah. This December will be 5 years since then. And no movies. Maybe he's producing, but like nobody respects him anymore as a filmmaker.
Sure.
It kind of like Star Wars like really boosted his career until it killed it. Because now nobody's hiring him for stuff.
Sure.
You know? And for a while, J.J. Abrams was the what's the word? You know how his like posse is like he had a posse for a while. He had David Kurtzman, and they kept using Kurtzman to launch cinematic universes. That's how we got Dark Universe. That's how we got Amazing Spider-Man. Those are all, or I'm sorry, Alex Kurtzman. That was all Alex Kurtzman. He was friends with J.J. Abrams. Well, that whole empire's falling apart.
Yeah,
because nobody's picking Alex Kurtzman to do their thing anymore because he keeps making crap and it keeps failing. You know, and like if the crap made money, they keep doing it. Like So yeah, J.J. Abrams like total hack, total fraud, but it wasn't really highlighted till Star Wars, and it's interesting to me that like something that was still so successful ended up kind of killing their career. Same with The guys that did Game of Thrones, like those guys were on top of the world. They
And
they
they're
tried to
like, oh, Star Wars.
yeah,
I'd
Star
rather
Wars
do that.
or Netflix series, like they had to weigh their options, like what do we want
Mhm.
to do? And then the new Game of Thrones came out, and everyone was like, oh yeah, these guys are bad,
Yeah.
you know, and then just kind of killed their career,
Right.
you know, like when's the last time they made something that you watched?
No.
Like,
I love how like Disney was just like, yeah, you're not doing Star Wars anymore. It's like the ultimate karma, basically. Like, no.
yeah,
I don't even know if it. Do you think Game of Thrones would have been successful if they would have just focused on it? Do you think they're just not talented enough to pull that off?
I don't think they
or-
were talented enough. I
Yeah.
think that's what it was.
Mhm.
Should there have been 4 more seasons to end the show properly? Probably.
Mhm.
At the same time, they had nothing to go off of because they ran out of book. It's the same thing with Full Metal Alchemist. They ran out of manga or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Food Wars. Did you watch Food Wars?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they ran out of manga. And so it's like, I guess we're going to get a Food Wars Brotherhood or a Game of Thrones Brotherhood, you know, when he finishes the books, which is a big if because he's been working on that one book for 15 years.
I'm so afraid he's just gonna die before it happens. Which is
I've made peace with it.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, they could hire someone to finish it, but it's just not going to be the same.
Sure.
What is that Wheel of Time series? It was the same thing. The Wheel of Time author died, and so they hired someone to finish it. And like, you know, like it's fine. There's an ending.
Are you talking about AI? Well, AI was the same way, where Kubrick died before that movie got made. So he basically had Spielberg promise to finish the movie.
Oh no, there's a book series. I think it was Wheel of Time,
gotcha.
and
Yeah.
the author died, and so then you know, same thing with Berserk. The creator of Berserk died. You ever watch that or read any of it? Yeah,
I watched a little bit of it. Yeah.
yeah. So the cliffhanger ending to the original series was fantastic, right? And yeah, the creator died, and so now it's like his friend is finishing it, which I don't get. It's just not gonna be the same, you know.
So I was reading up on. Have you ever played Half-Life?
No,
Okay, gotcha.
I need to go back and play Fallout first. I'm gonna play the 3 in New Vegas.
So do you know kind of like the joke Half-Life 3 confirmed, stuff like that, all
Yeah.
the memes.
Oh yeah.
So this was in 2017, but like basically it's been like, I don't know, Half-Life 2 came out in like 2000 like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
It's 2024 now.
Oh.
And there's no Half-Life 3 in 2017. Basically, to give you the rundown, Gabe Newell would always like dodge the question if everyone's like, oh, when's Half-Life 3 coming out? We're just trying to decide basically if we want to go with a full game or just an expansion of Half-Life 2. Well, it's been like, 15 years now, so maybe pick it up a little bit. But like the writer Mark Laidlaw, he actually he left Valve recently in 2017, and he actually released a quote unquote fanfic, and he changed all the names of the characters and basically said this was the original story of Half-Life 3.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And like a lot of people loved it, but basically do you think it ended on such a Half-Life 2 ends on a super big cliffhanger, and it's like enormous, oh my gosh, where is this actually gonna go? Because it actually connects to the Portal games if you ever played those.
Oh, cool.
They're connected.
Oh,
And
awesome.
basically it's alluding that both those games are going to converge on the same point. But again, it gets stuck in not even development hell. They just never tried touching it.
They just never did it
Because of Steam really took off,
Mm.
and then they started their own other projects essentially. And yeah, a lot of people say because of Steam's success, they really didn't have to make video games anymore.
Right.
Like they don't have, they're just a company now.
Which is kind of what happened, right? Because what have they done since then? I know Half-Life Alyx, but
They
game-wise,
really just stuck to Dota 2.
yeah,
And Left 4 Dead 2 was super successful. Portal 2 was super successful. That's the thing. Whenever they release something, it's a banger. And it usually, their whole business model is whenever we release something, it has to raise the bar.
yeah.
And they did that. The original Half-Life back in 1998 or something, that raised the bar for first-person shooters. If you've never played that, it's actually a phenomenal game. Still holds up today. Half-Life 2 came out. That raised the bar with the physics engine, the source engine. That was the big debut essentially. And that's when really industrialize, physics in games, puzzles and stuff like that. And just graphically, it was amazing too. Really sight to behold. Even today, it actually looks pretty good. And then like Portal 2 was the same way. It always wants to rate, like Valve always wants to raise the bar. Left 4 Dead 2. Everyone wanted to copy Left 4 Dead 2 when it came out. You know, there's so many clones of it now.
Yeah.
Team Fortress 2. That's what freaking Overwatch became. You know, like, so that's their whole thing. They cannot release something unless it like blows people away.
Yeah.
Same thing with Half-Life Alyx. It raised the bar of what VR could be, and no one is able to match it. Like, that's just what they're good at. They're kind of like Nintendo is. I mean, at least older Nintendo, like, they're not going to release something unless it blows you away.
Try explaining that to Nintendo.
Right.
This is what y'all used to be.
Yeah, exactly. But, so people don't know. Hey, here's the thing. Half-Life Alyx is a game. It came out in 2017 or 18. It teased. Basically, it went back, without too many spoilers, it went back and changed the cliffhanger of Half-Life 2. Like, a little bit. Like, that's the end credit scene, basically.
Alyx did?
Well, yes.
Okay.
So Alyx eventually does something, and it changes the ending of Half-Life 2. So people are like, holy crap, what does that mean? Are they interested in making Half-Life 3 finally? And they're like, yeah, maybe. It's like,
so no.
So... Do you think it's better for the audience to just kind of like make peace, and for like the writer to be like, hey, you know what? Like, here's what the original story was going to be, or like hold out, you know, until like something actually does get made, until like the story is concluded, you know?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what group we're talking to.
Sure.
If you asked me that question and you said, now I'm going to, okay, I'm trying to set this up properly. I'm about to speak to a press conference, and you tell me that.
Yeah.
And depending on who's in this press conference is going to help me decide to answer that question.
Okay.
If you gave me that question and then you said, okay, go get him, Tiger, and you slapped my butt and you put me in a bunch of Snyderverse fans.
Oh, no.
Like, it's time you guys made peace with the fact that you're never going to get it. You know what I mean?
Yikes.
But if you took me and said, go get him, Tiger, same thing. I have the Madam Web power where I can go backwards.
Yeah,
but
sure.
now the reality's changed, right? And it's a bunch of Twin Peaks fans. And for a while, a bunch of Twin Peaks fans got season 3 made.
Yeah.
Stars picked it up. They realized it'd be profitable. They gave the creator total control of it. They said, we're not going to interfere, which is what happened to the original show. Good show. Half-Life. I would tell them, keep holding on.
Really?
Because you never know. You know? The thing with Gabe Newell is he's going to not be alive forever.
Sure.
He won't always be in charge of... it's Valve, right? He's not always going to be in charge of Valve. When he steps down, sometimes fan-made stuff gets that last entry in.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, they canceled it halfway through the final season. Sorry.
Telltale.
The Telltale game, they canceled halfway through the final season.
Yeah.
And the fan outrage was like, fan uproar. There we go. The fan uproar was big enough to where Robert Kirkman stepped in and was like, hey, no, we're going to finish this.
Yeah.
He loved Clementine so much, he wanted to put her in the show.
Right.
Think of something you'd never watch too, but let's look at, not Gilmore Girls, what is it? Fuller House, or that 90s show, or there's nothing wrong with wanting more of what we had 40 years ago. Can you think of a franchise that they were like, hey, let's just go ahead and revive it? Frasier. They revived Frasier again.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years, Jerry Seinfeld to be like, hey, why not just do one more episode just for fun? You know, we teased it. I know he's never going to. He probably never will. But maybe he's like, you know what? It's been a long enough time. If I did it again, nobody'd be sick of me. Because that was his thing. Was I don't want people to be sick of Seinfeld, so I'm going to end it while we're hot.
Right.
Well, what if he's just like, you know what? I just want to hang out with my friends again.
Sure.
You know? And then they just do it. And it's good. So you never know. It just depends on the group. The Snyder people got the Snyder Cut made.
Right.
Now they're
which is just a feat, an amazing feat.
That was a long shot.
Yeah.
And they said sure. They regret it. They did I read they did an investigation saying hey, were these actually fans or were these bots? And they came to the conclusion that some 5 Snyderverse fans made the spam bots to spam. bring the Snyderverse back. We're in an age where digging up dead franchises for nostalgia is a real thing, and sometimes it turns out okay.
Yeah.
It may have started off with like, yeah, we can make money, and so we revive it. Other times it's like, dude, you dug up dead people, CGI'd them, and made that, and it was like, what were you thinking?
I guess like,
but sometimes it works. You know what I'm saying?
To me, at least in like the things like Half-Life's case, when the hype is that unbelievably high,
yeah,
there's a certain point where you can never ever reach the bar that people have set for you. Because again, Valve's whole thing is they set the bar. Now people are setting the bar for Valve. Can they ever really reach that realistic
Probably
expectation? Not. So like the same thing would be like for other franchises, like Ghostbusters, for instance. Like I heard Frozen Empire didn't really do too well.
No.
It sucks that that's like probably Bill Murray's last appearance in Ghostbusters, and he already didn't really want to do it. So it's like, that's what we got for Star Wars. That's the last time we're ever gonna have the trio.
Yeah.
Ever do Star Wars again. Now they can. Like, it's like we had our shot and they shot it.
Yeah.
And they chose one thing over another. Either it was like a poor team or they just went for the money. Like, and that's it. And it's like, it's almost what, like for Star Wars case, I'm like, even though we were all craving more, maybe it would have been better just to let well enough alone. Like Clone Wars was great, and people are now realizing how great it was, and now the Filoniverse is taking off. But it was like, we already had something so freaking great and special, we didn't really realize it, And I love I love some of the new stuff coming out, but it's like, I don't know, you can just kind of smell that Disney stench everywhere, And I'm like, when I think it's healthy for people to be mature and just like say, you know what, I'm happy with what we had. We don't need, more of this, more of that. Like, it ended great, like we don't need it to be expanded upon. I remember, what was it? Elden Ring. You know how big Elden Ring is?
Still big.
Game of the year, still big. DLC is coming out next month.
Oh no.
Yeah. And they literally, the creators said, again, they could ride that for as long as they want. And they literally said, no, one DLC, we're done. And also, we're probably not going to make a sequel either. What?
Well, that's fine. I think it also depends on did it leave an incomplete story? So,
well, it's from software, so yeah. But like, it's one of those things. It's like, and Baldur's Gate 3 did the same thing. Yeah. We're not making a DLC. We're never going to make a sequel. This is the trilogy. Yeah. This is the end.
But it was those are complete stories, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
but people are always going to want more.
That's fine. But what you're talking about gets a cult following, and it left it on a cliffhanger that never had a resolution. That's different. Yeah. Same thing with Twin Peaks. Same thing with Snyderverse. Mm-hmm. I see why there's a passion to keep that going.
But I still feel like, even with those, like, remember what you loved about it so much, like say it did live on a cliffhanger and it's been like 15, 20 years. I don't think, I think it would only be disappointment, whatever comes back, like, or 90% chance it would just be disappointment. So like, just love what you have, I don't know. I feel like it's just part of growing up. It's like not everything's gonna have a conclusion. Not everything's
That's right.
Not everything's gonna have a satisfying story. The least creators can do, at least with Mark's case, like he's like, hey, I'm stepping away from this industry. Yeah. Or at least from Valve. He's like, but I love the fans so much that I'm at least going to give them a little peek of basically like what could have been. Yeah. As fan fiction. I think that's really smart. It's a really good way to deal with it, essentially, because it's like, it's not definitive. This is exactly what would happen, and they could still come back and redo it or like do something different. But it's like what we were going to get. Like, here's like, I'm not going to just do what Gabe Newell did. I'm going to actually give you a little bit of like what you were creating because you're fans. Like, you deserve that.
On that, I can agree. You can move on from that because like now, if they do a Half-Life 3, they'd have to hire him back or totally disregard that and make something new. I think what he did was a good level of finality.
Sure.
Another show that I didn't even think about, Invader Zim. They brought that back. They brought Samurai Jack back because that left on a cliffhanger too.
Right.
And they finished that out great. So it just depends. It just depends. If it left on a cliffhanger, I think it's fine to want it more and to beg them to bring it back because we're in an age where they're listening and they're like, hey, maybe we'll make money off of this. Let's go ahead and bring it back and give them a conclusion. Let's do one more season.
Yeah.
We're in an age where that's happening. I mean, all that stuff got canceled 10, 20 years ago. And now, for some reason, everyone's like, you know what? Let's try and do that again. And they do it.
Yeah.
You know, especially at an age where Netflix is willing to throw millions of dollars at a project. You know, they give Zack Snyder tons of money to do nothing. So it just depends. On something like Half-Life, where the guy's like, here, I'm just going to give you the story. What does he know? What would prompt him to do that unless he knew? He had to have been talking to Gabe Newell every day, and Gabe was like, we're not doing it.
Right.
So when he left, he was like, you know, he didn't say this, but like, here, I'm just going to give y'all what we were going to do if we were to do it.
Sure.
Because like he had to have known that it was not on their priority list. You know, he had to have been talking to Gabe, and Gabe was like, we're not going to do it. I'm not interested. We're not. There's no way to improve it and make it better. It's just not going to happen.
Sure.
So that's why he released it. Was like it's, you know, he can't say what they said, but I'm willing to bet like he just knew they were never going to touch it again.
Right.
Gabe's not interested. Valve isn't going to do it. So here I left. Here you go. I'm willing to bet that's why that happened.
And then right after that happens, Alex comes out. So it's like maybe they just needed to know that there was. Well, it's like it's not that they didn't know that there was people wanting it.
Right.
I think it was that resurgence, you know, like when he released that document and then everyone started talking about it again. Val was like, well, maybe it is worth an investment.
Well, I mean, Alex was coming out before that. They were developing it. So
sure, but for him to leave and like
yeah.
Well, what triggered it? Why would he leave essentially and drop that if Alex was coming out essentially? Like if the story was being continued?
Well, because it didn't actually continue it. It teased it. And
in a way, it kind of did.
Okay. Well, I didn't play it, and I haven't played the first two. So
sure. It's basically like it ends with it saying basically exactly what the original ending was like. Stuff's going down.
Yeah.
You got to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And it feels like that even more so now because they expanded a much more on like some of the characters and like the overall story with Alex. I'm just like, they got to be doing something. And the latest news they have is that, Valve is interested in doing more Half-Life games in VR. Possibly.
Sure.
Potentially. So I'm like, yeah, if they got that market cornered.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it took a lot for Valve, like old Grandpa Valve, to be like, you know what? Remember when we used to make games? Remember when we used to actually like tell stories? Like,
it's like, I'm so sick of Steam. You remember when we made games?
Just too much money.
I remember when we used to come here to drink.
Right.
So I guess that's a good spot to end it for this episode. Guys, thanks for joining us this week. I hope y'all had fun, as much fun as I had recording, rocking that Meat Canyon stuff. If you didn't notice it, I advise you to go to Papa Meat's channel or Meat Canyon's channel. Check him out. He's really good. Not that he'll ever see this and thank me for the endorsement. But guys, hope y'all had fun. We'll see y'all next time when I do something really cool off camera.
Right.
See you later.